Iceland, a place of waterfalls, glaciers, hot springs, and endless roads through some of the most dramatic landscapes on Earth. My name is Allan, and after several trips to Iceland, it has become one of my favorite countries to visit. This itinerary is based on my own experiences in Iceland. Over the next 7 days, I'll cover some of Iceland's most essential spots, but also go beyond the typical tourist route to explore lesser-known places. So if that sounds good to you, and you're up for an adventure in Iceland, then this is how I would spend 7 days in Iceland. Our route focuses on the southern part of Iceland, along with some detours into the highlands. We start with some highlights of the famous Golden Circle, before heading into the remote highlands for some incredible scenery. We then follow along the southern coast, stopping at waterfalls, canyons, and glaciers along the way. This itinerary is best done between July to early September. This is when most of Iceland is open, including the highlands that we'll be visiting. For that, you'll need a 4x4 to drive on Iceland's famous F-roads. These are rugged, unpaved mountain roads that are only open during the summer season. You don't need the biggest vehicle to follow this route. Something like a Suzuki Jimny or a Dacia Duster will be enough for the roads ahead. I personally went with a 4x4 camper van. It was my kitchen, home, and wheels all in one. Being able to cook simple meals and camp whenever I wanted gave me the ultimate sense of freedom. But most importantly, it was capable enough to handle the rugged F-roads on my journey. If you want to rent a car in Iceland, then check out Northbound. It's a car rental platform that compares car rental companies in Iceland. I've used Northbound in the past, and it's great to be able to compare prices to get the best deal possible. You can rent anything from a regular car to a large 4x4 like a Land Cruiser, or you can even rent the camper van that I had on this trip. Mobile data has become a necessity when traveling, and for that, I recommend checking out Saely. Saely is an eSIM app that offers affordable data plans ideal for travel. You can find data plans for over 200 destinations, including Iceland. And it's super easy to set up. Simply install the app, choose a data plan, activate the eSIM, and you're ready to go. And if something doesn't work, their 24/7 chat support is here to help. If you're interested in trying out Saely, then you can get an exclusive 15% discount on Saely data plans. Just use the code ALLANSU at checkout, or simply scan this QR code to get started. We begin our journey at the Keflavik Airport. This is where we pick up our rental car and head into one of Iceland's most popular areas, the Golden Circle. Our first stop is Þingvellir National Park. Þingvellir is one of the most important places in Iceland. Historically, this is where Iceland's old parliament was first established, but geologically, it's also a special place because the park sits in the Rift Valley between the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates, where the land is slowly being pulled apart. From Þingvellir, we continue deeper into the Golden Circle and make a stop at Hrúnalák. Hrúnalák is a scenic but small natural hot spring. Compared to some of the bigger geothermal baths in Iceland, it feels much more simple and rustic. Personally, I really enjoy these smaller, less developed hot springs, and Hrúnalák is simply a beautiful place to stop for a quick dip. The name Gullfoss, which translates to the Golden Falls, is one of Iceland's most famous waterfalls, and where the Golden Circle gets its name from. What makes it impressive is the way the water drops in 2 stages into a deep canyon. It's powerful, loud, and on a good day, you might even see rainbows forming in the mist. Nearby Gullfoss, you can also find the Geysir geothermal area. The original Great Geysir is mostly inactive today, but right next to it, you'll find Sturkey, which erupts every few minutes, shooting boiling water into the air. On our second day in Iceland, we head into the highlands, following the Kjöla route to Kerlingarfjöll. The drive itself is a big part of experiencing the highlands. As we leave behind the more familiar surroundings, the landscape slowly opens up into these vast stretches of gravel road, mountains, rivers, and wide open views. Kerlingarfjöll is a mountain range in the Icelandic highlands. The area is especially known for Hverfadalur, which means Valley of Hot Springs. It's a geothermal valley with colorful rhyolite mountains, steaming vents, and bubbling mud pools. You can find several hiking trails that will take you through the unique landscape. Near the valley, there's a hidden hot spring tucked away along the river canyon, reached by a short hike from the highland base. The man-made pool was pleasantly warm, and I honestly couldn't believe I had this entire little spot all to myself. For an alternative hot pool, you can visit Hverfadalur, a nearby geothermal area, but the main reason to stop here is for the hot spring. The natural hot pool is fed by both hot and cold streams, so depending on where you sit, the temperature can change quite a bit, but it's generally warm and comfortable enough for bathing. On day 3, we continue towards one of Iceland's most beautiful and unique areas, Landmannalaugar. On the way, we make a stop at Hæfoss. Plunging 122 meters, or roughly 400 feet, into the canyon below, Hæfoss is one of the tallest waterfalls in Iceland. The majority of visitors stay at the top viewpoint, but if you have the time, I'd recommend walking down into the canyon to get a closer perspective. This is where you can really feel the scale and force of the waterfall. We continue towards Landmannalaugar, following the F208 into the highlands. Some of the most unique landscapes can be found along this scenic route. Along the way, you'll pass large crater lakes, moss-covered volcanic landscapes, and fields of black volcanic sand stretching endlessly across the horizon. As we approach Landmannalaugar, there are 2 river crossings before reaching the campsite. If you're not comfortable with river crossings, you can park your car at the parking area before the river crossing and simply walk the rest of the way. River crossings can be risky, so only attempt them if you're confident about the depth, the current, and the safest route across. My advice is to check the river depth on foot if you're unsure. Generally, you want to stay closer to the sides or follow the markers when possible, as rivers are often deepest in the center or where the water looks the calmest. Landmannalaugar is known for its colorful rhyolite mountains, lava fields, and hiking trails. For many, this area is one of the highlights of the Icelandic highlands. If you only have time for one proper hike in Landmannalaugar, then I would recommend doing the loop that combines Mount Brennisteinsalda and Blaunukur. The hiking loop is around 9 to 10 kilometers and takes most people around 4 to 5 hours to complete, and offers some of the best views in the area. And after all that hiking, you can soak in the natural hot spring near the campsite. On day 4, we move out of the highlands and make our way towards the southern coast. We drive along the F225, also known as Landmannalaugar. This is another beautiful highland road with incredible wide open landscapes, river crossings, and moss-covered mountains along the way. We stop at Rauðaskál, a red volcanic crater that stands out for its deep red color. As we exit the highlands, we continue along the south coast. This is where our route connects with some of Iceland's most famous sites, beginning with Seljalandsfoss, one of Iceland's most iconic waterfalls. It's probably best known for the walking path that takes you behind the waterfall. Nearby, you can also find this hidden waterfall inside a cave. Skogafoss is another one of Iceland's most famous waterfalls, and is one of the most powerful and impressive stops along the south coast. Close to Skogafoss, I would also make time for Kvennfoss, a smaller waterfall tucked away in a nearby canyon. It also has a path that takes you behind the waterfall. We continue east towards Vik, with a few stops along the way. Dyrhólaey is a dramatic coastal viewpoint known for its cliffs, black sand beaches, sea arches, and views of the coastline. From Dyrhólaey is a short drive to Reynisfjara, Iceland's most famous black sand beach. It's known for its basalt columns, sea stacks, and powerful Atlantic waves. We then end the day in the village of Vik and grab some well-deserved dinner at Smidjan Brukhus. Early morning, we head into Þakgil. Þakgil is a small canyon area tucked away in the mountains. The drive here already feels like part of the experience, with rough gravel road taking you through green hills, cliffs, and wide open landscapes. Once you arrive, you'll find a beautiful campsite surrounded by steep canyon walls with several hiking trails leading deeper into the area. One of the best hikes here is a loop that combines the yellow Melifell Trail and the red Östrafjörður Trail. It takes around 4 to 5 hours to complete, and along the way you get a mix of canyon views, mountain scenery, and views towards the nearby glacier. We then head out of Þakgil and continue east towards Laki. On the way to Laki, we make a stop at this well-known canyon. The road to Laki follows FT06. It's a rough highland route with gravel tracks, moss-covered rocks, and several river crossings. Laki is a volcanic area known for its long row of craters and moss-covered lava fields. The eruption here in 1783 was one of the largest and most devastating volcanic eruptions in Iceland's history. Today, the area feels quiet and almost untouched. You can drive along the Laki Loop that takes you through green moss-covered lava fields, crater landscapes, and viewpoints where you can really see how large this volcanic system truly is. As you exit the Laki Loop, there is one river crossing to be aware of. Depending on the weather, this river can be deep, so make sure to ask the station ranger in Laki about the river condition before you attempt to cross it. On day 6, we begin at Skaftafell National Park. One of the most popular hikes here is the trail to Svartifoss. Svartifoss is a waterfall surrounded by dark basalt columns, which makes it look quite different from many of the other waterfalls in Iceland. From Svartifoss, continue towards a glacier viewpoint. From the viewpoint, you get an amazing view of the nearby Skaftafell glacier stretching down from the Vatnajökull ice cap. After Skaftafell, we continue towards the Múlagljúfur canyon. To reach the canyon, you need to go on a little hike. It's a 6 kilometers round trip and takes most people around 2 to 3 hours to complete. It's arguably one of the most beautiful canyons in Iceland, with steep green cliffs, waterfalls, and views towards the surrounding mountains and glaciers. Afterwards, we make a stop at the Jökulsárlón glacier lagoon. Jökulsárlón is known for its floating icebergs, which breaks away from the nearby glacier and slowly drift through the lagoon toward the sea. Right across the road from Jökulsárlón, you'll find Diamond Beach. This is where some of the icebergs wash up on the black sand, creating these pieces of clear ice scattered across the beach. Depending on the tide and conditions, it can look different every time you visit. For our final day in Iceland, we continue east and make a stop at Vestrahorn. Vestrahorn is one of Iceland's most recognizable mountains, with these sharp, jagged peaks rising right next to the ocean. Due to its location, it's a very popular photography spot, and one of my favorite places in all of Iceland. In the same area, you can also find the Viking Village film set, originally built as a movie set, but today you can walk around the wooden buildings and explore to your heart's content. After Vestrahorn, make the long way back to Reykjavik. If you got the time, then consider exploring the city and enjoy some local delicacies. Down by the old harbor, you can stop by the Sea Baron for their famous lobster soup. For something quick and classic, the famous Icelandic hot dogs might be of interest. Personally, I enjoyed a salmon open sandwich and some pastries at Sandholt. And with that, our 7-day Iceland road trip comes to an end. But before we finish, here's a breakdown of the travel budget. The final cost will depend a lot on when you visit and what kind of vehicle you rent. But for a solo trip with a 4x4 camper van, this is roughly what you can expect. If you're traveling as 2 people, then just double the food and campsite fees, and that should give you a good estimate. I hope this video helps you plan your own Iceland adventure and gives you a better idea of what to expect along the way. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. This is Allan. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.